Hi guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Yetunde and I recently just moved to Canada and I'm going to be sharing my journey from the day I decided to move to Canada, the process I took, and now that I'm in Canada. This is also my first YouTube video. Yeah. Subscribe to my YouTube channel as well because I'll be sharing a whole lot. Okay, so I would start with why I decided to move to Canada or why I chose Canada. So I had different options. There was the UK, there was the US, and there was Canada. And for UK, I mean, I don't have any family in the UK, so that was not necessarily an option. I also already had masters, so I mean, going to the UK again to do masters was not necessarily an option. The US has actually always been where I wanted to go, so I'd planned to go with school. But when I weighed my option and I saw Canada, after 3 years as a permanent resident, you can get a passport. It just made more sense to me. Anyway, so let's move right to the next thing, which is when this whole journey started. So this whole journey actually started in 2020. So 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, that's like 6 years. But I mean, I had a break in between as well. So hold up. It doesn't actually take that long. I mean, from when I decided I wanted to move to Canada, I think it took me about a year to get my PR. But in 2020, when the first thought came in, which was a friend, shout out to Paul. So Paul had reached out to me that, oh, you have a master's, you're below 30. Why don't you try to apply for Canada PR and all of that. So that was the first time I actually found out about Canada PR. I mean, I'd had friends that moved, but I didn't really know so much about it. That's when I actually started the process. So I'm going to talk through the process of what I did then and what I later did when I was now finally ready to move. Also to add, I didn't use an agent. No. I did not use an agent. I did everything by myself. It was quite straightforward and simple. And I believe that you can also do it yourself if you're interested in it. Also to add, I am not an immigration officer, so that you know. But most of the things I'm going to be sharing here today is going to be about my own experience and my own journey. Time after Paul spoke to me, the next thing I did was to go and do my research. So I did a research to find out what I needed. And I realized that the first thing I needed to do was to evaluate my score. So there is like calling that maybe a simulation of what the actual system is like. I will share the link below and I also put the link in the comment. Try to check what my score would be. So that's like you will say they will ask you your age, degree, English test. At that time I didn't have an English test. Paul just told me to just select all the highest score at the time because that was the goal. The goal was to get the highest score. Just fill everything in, and when I was done filling it in, I realized that oh, my score was like 478. The next thing I did was to now take the first action, which was evaluate my results with WES. So WES is like the World Education Services, and that is like what they do is that they evaluate your results against your degree against Canada degree, literally. So my highest degree at the time was a master's degree. So I evaluated my master's degree. I didn't bother doing my BSc. Do that, you have to do that on the WES platform. You fill the form, you pay for it as well. You submit your transcript. Your school will submit your transcript on your behalf, and so many other things like that. And they will evaluate it. Once they're done evaluating, they will send you a report that will say, oh, your master's degree is equivalent to a master's degree in Canada. There are some people who have master's degree, or maybe not master's degree, I don't know, maybe diploma degree, and they'll say the diploma degree is equivalent to a 2 years course in Canada. I've seen people like that, but for me, my master's degree was actually equivalent to a master's degree in Canada. The next thing I did was to do my IELTS. To come to Canada, you actually have to do the English test. So I did with IELTS. There's a new one outside now. I think it's called Self-PIP, and some of my friends have been doing Self-PIP and they've actually been getting it, and some of them will actually had their PR and I'm expecting them soon. So yeah, so they sell people as well, but I did IELTS. I think what is important is that you have a high score in your listening. Listening is the most important, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you have the highest score in listening, have a high score in reading, high score in speaking, and also a very good score in writing. So for me, I had 9 in listening at the time, 8.5 in reading. I had like I think 8 in speaking and 7 in writing. So those were those were my score at the time. And with that score, I was able to get a 478 at the time. After that, the next important thing for me to do, I think, was just to register in the pool, to enter the pool. So because of COVID, they now stopped doing the draw, and I wasn't even in the pool. I didn't even bother entering the pool. So I just left the whole process. Then until 2023 or 2020, in 2023, when I was now ready to now relocate, because at this point I'm like, I still want to stay in Nigeria. Let me move. Decided that, oh, I wanted to join the pool back and all of that. But at the time, my IELTS has expired. So your IELTS is just for 2 years and your WES is actually for 5 years. So my WES was still valid, but my IELTS had already expired. And this was also the time when Canada actually officially started their express entry again for everyone. I think in between they were answering all their backlogs, answering people that had PMP and all of that. But I don't know. Anyway, moving on. So at this point, my IELTS had already expired, so I had to write IELTS again. When I went to write IELTS again, my ladies and gentlemen, I failed. Not failed. I actually failed my list. Not failed. I had like a 7.5 in my listing, and that just made my score like a 420 something. It wasn't, I mean, at that time they were doing draw 500 and something. So how can I now come with 423 and expect I'll go to Canada? So I had to write my IELTS again. And when I wrote again, thank God, I had 8.5 in my listening this time. My score was back up. I entered the pool again. So for everything that you have, you get points. You have family members, you get points. You have English tests, you have all the high scores, you get good points. You have masters, you have BSc. As a BSc holder, you can also apply. I have friends that have applied with BSc and they've also come to Canada. So it doesn't have to be masters. But just for you to have a higher chance, you would like to, it would be nice for you to look at all the options available for you to increase your score. For me, I didn't have a family member in Canada, so I lost points for that. But for every other thing, masters, good English score, working experience, I had all my scores for that. At age, I was below 30 at the time. So I entered the pool and I was waiting for a draw. And all the draws at that time was like 600 and 700 and 800 and 1000, and they were not even coming down to 400 and anything. But I mean, I did not lose hope. I was just in the pool. Like I tell my friends, you have nothing to lose. Some people say, "Ah, but the score is like 700. You have nothing to lose. Just enter the pool and just be waiting. You don't know. You don't really know the day that they will call your own score. So just be in the pool, especially if you're below 30. You have nothing to lose. Be in the pool and just wait." So I should also add that recently Canada has been focusing more on job. They've been calling people more on your NOC. So for me, in February 2024, I got a provisional nomination, or I got a notification of interest. That's what it's called. I didn't have the PMP there. What I got was that Ontario, while I was in the pool waiting, Ontario they draw and they picked people in the pool that were in the tech industry. So if your NOC falls within, NOC is just like your job. So for every job there's a number to it. So that's the NOC number. So if your NOC number falls within the tech jobs that they were looking for, they sent a provisional, a notification of interest, not provisional. They sent a notification of interest to people. That back. My phone was 473, and the draw they did was 472. So anybody that had up to 472, and you're in the pool and you're in tech, within the NOCs, the job description or the job titles that they listed, they sent a notification of interest. So what that means is that Ontario is saying, we want you to come to Ontario. So I got my notification of interest, and what I did was that I applied to Ontario. So at this point, my IELTS, my WES, my letter of introduction from my office, my reference letter from my office, my proof of funds. I also needed to have my proof of funds. What am I forgetting? I will list everything out here so that you see it. So I needed to have a list of all those things. I think those were basically the things I needed. Passports, my passport, obviously, you need a passport. Before I forget, I've had people who tell me, yesterday I want to relocate. I'll say, okay, do you have a passport? They'll say no. My brothers and sisters, you want to relocate. I think the first thing you should do before you even start looking for countries to have a passport. But anyway, so moving on. So those were the things I submitted. I submitted it to Ontario. Ontario went through my documents. That took quite a while. That took from I submitted in March. So that took March, April, May, June, July, August, September. It got back to me in September. And by September, I was offered a provisional nomination, which is called PMP. And that gave me extra 600 points. Now, mind you, I was already 30. So once you're 30, you lose 5 points. Once you're 31, you lose another 5. Once you're 32, you lose another 5. So for every year after 30, you lose 5 for every number after 30. So for me, I was already 30. So I'd already lost 5 points while in the pool. But with these 600 points, it now became 1,067 points. That was in September. So I joined back in, I was still in the pool. I added my 600 points and it became 1,067. So by the next draw that they did for PMP, I was selected. And this time I now had to submit my document to Canada. Remember, the first time I submitted my document was to Ontario. I paid for it. It wasn't free. I think I paid about 1,500 Canadian dollars at the time. My ITA, so that's my invitation to apply, I got that in October. I think that was the next time they did a draw in the pool for people that had PMP. I submitted November 15, and by December 20th, I was invited to do my biometrics and my medicals. So I did my biometrics at the biometric center. I'll probably share another video explaining that journey, but I got there very early. I booked the appointment online. I spent maybe about an hour, 30 minutes or 2 hours there. Then I did my medicals the next day. So for the medicals, they have their gated hospitals that they want you to do the medicals. Then after doing my medicals, I waited. And by January 22nd, I got my final decision. So what that means is that Canada had made a final decision on my application. So that was just November, December. So November 15th to January 22nd, I really can't start calculating in my head. I think that's about 2 months and some days. So in about 2 months and some days, I got my PR. By that time, I'd not gotten the PR certificate. So what they had done is send me an email to submit my passport so they can stamp on it and they can give me my confirmation of permanent residence. That's what I did. I submitted my passport the following Monday after I got my request to submit my passport. I used Ghana, and thankfully Ghana took like only 2 weeks, because I've heard people say, oh, Ghana takes like 3 months, all of that. But I submitted my passport January 27, and I got my passport back by February 8th from Ghana. And when I got my passport back, I had my one entry visa and a confirmation of permanent residence. So I got that in February. But now I got it, and in my head, I'm like, why do I have to leave immediately? I have this thing now. So let me spend some time with my family and friends in Nigeria. So I didn't leave immediately. I waited for like maybe another 5 months, and I eventually came to Canada in July. So I'm also going to share some of my travel journey. I booked with Qatar Airways, and while booking, I also was, because I had a layover, 13 hours layover in Qatar. Oh my God. But I was able to get an accommodation, free accommodation. I didn't pay 1 naira for it. Qatar Airways gave me free accommodation in Qatar Airport. And I also paid for extra luggage. I mean, I was moving my whole life from Nigeria to Canada. I don't think all of that would have fit into 2 boxes. I already knew it was not going to fit into 2 boxes, but I thought it would fit into 3 boxes. When I got into the airport, my brothers and sisters, I still sent a full Ghana must go back. My flight was for 9 a.m. So I got to the airport at 7. I went through immigration and all of that. I wasn't going to cry until I saw my friends crying. Then I now started crying. I cried all the way till I got to the flight. I remember immigration telling me, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you crying? Did somebody die? Did something happen? My dad also went with me. So it was my dad, my uncle, and my two friends, my two amazing friends that went with me, Timmy and Tolu. So I took my flight. I got to Qatar. I don't remember how many hours, to be sincere, but when we got to Qatar, I went to the help desk. They gave me my voucher, so I got meal voucher. I got like a hundred Qatar money voucher to be able to buy food at the airport, and I got my hotel documents, and they told me the hotel to go to in the airport. So the hotel was within the airport. I didn't need transit visa, in case you want to start asking all of that. I didn't need transit visa. The hotel was within the airport. I went to my hotel, I freshened up, I dressed up, then I went to look for food. I spent that money because I was not going to leave without spending that money. Then I slept. By the next morning, I got to my gate. They said they were going to call me, but they didn't call me at the hotel. Oh. I don't know why, but I woke up. I woke up like 40 minutes to my boarding time. I woke up, had my bath, dressed up, I went to my gate. My gate was just literally like 2 minutes walk from my hotel room. I got to my gate and we boarded the flight and we came to Canada. My friend was at the airport to pick me up. And I remember at the immigration at Canada when they said, congratulations, you are now a permanent resident. I was so happy, and the guy stamped my passport and gave it back to me. It was at the airport to pick me up, and yeah, so that's my journey from when I decided to come to Canada to now. So if you have any questions, you can drop it in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, please. Please subscribe. Thank you. Like this video if you found it useful. I'll share some helpful links in the description as well, like I explained. But yeah, so that's my Canada journey from the beginning to now that I'm in Canada. I hope this video wasn't too long.
Get her here for real. You know what I'm saying?
If you got to this point of this video, I would like to say thank you so much. I appreciate you.